G'day, listeners. Welcome to Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer, and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool people and talk sailing. Only issue is I have to do it with my two idiot mates. So please welcome Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
Time to relax.
Time to relax. Oh, you're just so busy these days.
Running around like you've got no idea. Our next hour and a half is going to be me sitting down doing nothing, really.
Nothing's changed.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
What did you say, Mr. Bice?
Sorry, mate. It was just too easy.
I did open the door.
Got to pounce.
Yeah.
A comment, gents, from last week. Bar Karate Sailors Lager ambassador David Snowd. Albeit, I must admit, I haven't given him any beer yet because we've run out. An all-round nice guy. He rang me up and he said, I've just listened to the episode. Not sure if it was the best or the worst.
What does that mean?
Pretty much our sentiments exactly after the show as well.
Yeah.
Did we just laugh too much and make idiots of ourselves, or was it genuinely good fun?
Well, there's a few discussion points, but I might come to them after we've chatted to our guest, I reckon. There's a couple of things that I'll bring back up. But go on, BP, what were you going to say?
I was going to say there was no Bar Karate Sailors Lager involved, really. And
I had a couple.
Well, I didn't. I just had a glass of wine, but it was funny for me.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's what we're about, having a laugh. Well, let's roll into this, boys, because we've got a sort of pretty close mate of ours to come onto the show this week, and I wouldn't mind bringing him on early because he's got a lot of interesting things, and when he speaks, I like to listen. So, should I bring him in?
Bring him in.
Okay, so
One of the best.
We've got another one of the Kiwi hardmen legends to come in to have a bit of a chat to us. We've got Mr. Tony Mutter joining the program. G'day, mate.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
How's shutdown going for you?
I guess it's always a double-edged sword for everyone, you know. Like I think we haven't done a lot of sailing this year. The last time I actually sailed on a big February in Sydney Harbour, right before our shutdown, we did an InfoTrack corporate week. And it was kind of like a thank you to all the info trackers from the last Sydney Hobart, and that was back in February. So
wow,
that's that. Not a lot of yachting, a lot of talking, a lot of talking, a lot of planning, a lot of reflecting, and that sort of thing. But not a lot of sailing.
Well, let me go on.
I don't know about you, Tone, but personally having basically travelled for the last 20 years, and you'd be going upwards to 25, 30 years constantly on the road. Has this been your longest time in the land of the long white cloud?
It would be very close, I think. I think there was a period around 2000 where I was at home back in the old days when there used to be 4 years between Volvos, and we had an America's Cup here in 2000. So I think that was the longest. It could be as long ago. It could be 20 years. Yeah. To the last time I spent this much time in the country.
Wow. Still married?
Yeah.
It's amazing, eh?
Yeah.
Quite resilient wives.
I don't know how she puts up with me. She's a wonderful girl.
That's cool. I love it. Well, let's give the people that haven't met you, Tony, your resume, just so people know. So
sit back and enjoy the next 5 fabulous days.
So Tony's done 6 Volvo Ocean races, including winning it twice, 2005, 2006, on the ABN AMRO 1 with Mike Sanderson, who's been on the show. Then in 2008, 2009 on Ericsson 4 with Torben Grail, whose daughter's been on the show. Set a few world speed records on the Comanche program, did the Atlantic World Crossing record, won a couple of Sydney Hobarts on line honours with the Perpetual Loyal, set the course record there on the Comanche, I think second in the J-Class Worlds. And early on, I think you were an OK dinghy man from memory. I think 6th at the Worlds in 89 and 4th at the Worlds in 90. And I suspect you're sort of playing with them a bit at the moment. Go on, Bice, you were about to say something.
Shit, you got a good memory, mate.
Well, Tony rings every time I see him in an airport. He tells me about the OKs.
No, of course, yeah. No, carry on.
No, all right. So that's sort of the brief spit, and then as Bice said, he probably hasn't been home for 25 years. So how did it all start for you, Tony?
Well, yachting started for me when I was actually 4 years old. So I think my father actually borrowed a boat off my neighbour.
Yep.
And and we went down to the local beach and we went out and we capsized the boat. And after that, the next minute, we decided that was going to be the sport, and off we went.
Really?
So then I grew up sailing on the East Coast Bays, Murray's Bay here, which is quite a famous club. And that would be late 70s, early 80s. And we, like guys like Dean Barker and Ray Davies and Hamish Pepper and a bunch of other guys. Nick Burfoot, who was a laser world champion. Rod Dawson, a whole bunch of D-sailors came out of there.
Yep.
And out of that bunch, there's a few still sailing. And then ever since then, it was sort of I left dinghy sailing. Would be, I'm trying to remember, 1990. This is going back a bit now. 1992. 1992, I did a Finn Olympic trials, and then decided that's it. I've had enough. I'm not spending any more money on yachting. I need to. It's got to go the other way.
Yeah. Wow.
And that was the time. I mean, if you look at the we had when we had Moose on and T Ray on, and all those guys, that was the period, wasn't it? It was the absolute fantastic time for all of you.
Yeah, I think I guess it was in a massive growth with yachting, where it had worked out how to get the corporate dollar involved, and there was maybe not so much more wealthy people, but there was wealthy people with more of a sense of adventure back then. There's probably less so now. We're into that kind of thing. It was new, and it was they just wanted to take it on, and I think that sort of helped a lot.
Before we get actually into the big boat stuff, what was the actual pathway, Tone, like from when you're at 4 years old to the Finn? What classes were you sailing?
So I sailed the very first boat I sailed was the neighbour's Heron. It's I wouldn't even know what one looks like now. It's like it's got like a gaff rig thing.
Exactly.
I think it even had wooden spars. I can't remember. A long time ago.
Yeah, we all know what they look like.
Okay. There hasn't been one afloat here for 20 years. Yeah. And then I sailed with my father, and it was called a Rothman's Father and Son, which was a two-man father and son boat, which is probably a bit sexist now. Back then there was fathers and daughters sailing as well, or mothers and daughters and all that sort of thing. But at the time it was called the Rothman's Father and Son. It was sponsored by a cigarette company.
I was just thinking
that. Sponsored this boat. It was 14 foot long.
There's Dad out with the sun chugging on a packet of Rothies.
Yeah.
Going up the top, Mark. Where's the wind coming from, Dad?
Hang
on, I'll just light one up, son.
That sort of thing, I guess. Well, yeah.
Oh, God.
Actually, it's funny you say that, because not many people smoked, especially in yachting. Very early on in New Zealand, it was actually quite, especially in yachting or any sport, it was quite frowned upon. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
And then it was into P class. I had a Starling made for me, special for when I got out of P class, and it took after I got out of P class, it took like 6 months to make it, and of course that coincided with the time where I'd grown as a teenager, and by the time I got on the Starling, I was too big, so that lasted a very short period of time.
Wow.
And then I got into laser, and then very quickly think within a couple of years, I was a New Zealand rep in lasers, did the Worlds in Aarhus, Denmark.
Yeah.
Time I was racing OK dinghies. So ended up doing the Worlds in Weymouth Beach in 1989 and OKs and lasers and Worlds in Aarhus in 89. And then in Melbourne, Black Rock Yacht Club, the very famous Black Rock Yacht Club in 1990. The OK Worlds there again, which is a fantastic venue for any regatta. It's like that Melbourne Bay, Port Phillip Bay. Incredible.
Yep.
Yeah. Plenty of wind around.
Full of Victorians, though.
Yeah. Well, it sure was. It was windy at times.
Cool.
And then Fins, which was sort of a love-hate relationship with yachting, really. That was the one where expenses went through the roof and just became a bit of an arms race. And, did as best as we could.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends who were also doing it were tradesmen like myself, whether in marine trades or like building trades or that sort of thing, and then it just became too expensive. So we had a good old bash at it, and what was cool about it is we got one of our guys out of our training group. He went through and got the bronze in Barcelona in '92.
Oh yeah,
and which was really cool. Really pleased for him to do that. But what was really cool was when he came back and said, "Hey, you guys, I wouldn't have got that without training with you guys," which was a really big thing for us.
Cool. Very
really
cool.
appreciative of it, and we're still in touch with him. Yeah.
So
and then after that, it was a bit quiet. Yeah, for a bit.
Before you go on, the one thing I want to highlight for the people at this stage of your career is that a lot of the New Zealanders that we've chatted to, all your first offshore stuff, they all sort of went through the New Zealand pathway. You know, there was the New Zealand boats, but your offshore stuff was through Sweden. You and Gunnar Krantz, I think it was. Where that was when you first
that's right. So how that happened was I had, after 92, I started sailing with a good friend of mine, Nick Willits, who had sailed around the world on Merit. Was it Merit? No.
Another cigarette company, doesn't matter.
New Zealand.
Whatever.
Endeavour. Yeah. A big, large yacht with two masts.
Yeah, we know the one.
And we were staying 14-foot skiffs, and I sort of just said to him one day, "Hey, mate, I'd really love to go and do some of this ocean stuff." And he goes, "Oh, yeah." And the next minute, like within a day, I had a phone call from Gunnar Krantz saying, "Hey, I hear you're a good yachty down in NZ. We're building a Volvo boat in NZ. How would you like to do a trial?" I was like, "Okay." So, and that was the beginning of it. I'd never been offshore. Like I think I'd done a couple of coastal classics, but I'd never been offshore. Did the trial. He liked me. We went offshore. I remember we got the boat all the way to Philadelphia, and we sailed to Boston, and we broke everything. And then we were sailing from Boston across to England. And after the first day up, he says to me, "Oh, what do you reckon?" I said, "Oh, this is amazing. I've never been out of sight of land before." He thought I was joking. You obviously didn't hear what I was saying in the interview. So anyway, the rest is history.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
So you went from sailing your fin and having a good hard look at that, saying it's all take, to an opportunity where it became give, in that you were able to make a living out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Not that we got paid. We didn't get paid a lot days, but it was, broke even sort of thing. That was the go. Much like what probably Bicey had with the ABN 2. Yeah, it wasn't much, but we just made the most of it.
Sure.
So just actually for the listeners, the Swedish the 97, 98 Whitbread, as it was back then, Volvo Cup, I believe. won by Paul Kale and EF Language. There was the caliber of yachties in that race was like as high as you can get, pretty much. Like you must have been surrounded by some pretty top end guys, right?
Yeah, it was amazing, amazing time, and I think it was one of those. It was quite a different sort of race back then. You start the race and then you have to evolve during the race to be successful. And we had we looked at the EF language team, and they had like all these big names and already in pro sailing circles, and it was quite intimidating, if you like.
Yeah.
We had a Swedish match, which was I think our average age was 26, if I remember correctly, and we were just having a go. And we had some great Kiwis. We had a German, a Brit, and a bunch of. And it was fantastic. Everyone got on like a house on fire, and we just kind of made the best of it. We had really good leadership with Gura and with Earl Williams, who had a bit of who had a huge amount of experience, and they sort of kept us all in line, and led us where we were at. Yeah, and off we went.
Wow. Yeah. And Roger Nielsen was involved in that one too, right? Was he?
Roger Nielsen, yeah. He is you should get him involved in an interview. I tell you, he is probably
I haven't thought about him, to be honest, and because I worked with him.
You'll ever.
I worked with him at Telefonica in 08-09, so yeah, there's a link there for sure. I haven't thought about that name for a long time.
I'm actually a bit dubious to bring Roger on because we've had a few nights out. You playing the old father-son role?
He brings his book along.
Yeah, he does have a good book, apparently. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it was a running joke, but anyway, good on him.
But you could, once you get him talking, I tell you, it's fascinating, absolutely fascinating what he's done and what they did, what he's done. And the book aside, there's parts that are just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've gone from Swedish match with Gura straight into SEB with Gura. Was that always planned, or you just were mates with Gura long enough and then SEB came along, or he had much bigger plans straight out of Swedish match?
I think probably a little bit of both. What sort of evolved from that is we ended up with from a Swedish match was actually quite a reasonably large budget team, surprising enough, but we were just really late. So I don't think we ever managed to get through, have a burn rate to spend all the money that we had. But at that time, there was a lot of yachting in Scandinavia. And when SEB came along, we became quite a big budget team with all the time in the world. And for me, and I don't want to say, some people might be put out, but I'd like to say in my yachting career, it's like I always use that that campaign as the how not to do it for everything I've ever done ever since. It's from budget size to just blowing money to size and unachievable goal, everything. Every part of it was just, apart from the people, you always meet incredible people doing these things, but every other part of it was the lesson on how not to ever do a sailing campaign. Yeah, which was very sad. I'm still good mates with Gura Krantz. He's the most amazing leader, but he was possibly going through a period of it in his life there where it just got a little bit hard with personal stuff, and like we're always, it was just a tough things. Just sometimes stuff doesn't go well, but I have to say we brought that on ourselves. Yeah.
Well, even the Chinese jibe in the Southern Ocean where the new lured companionway filled up with water and you broke the mast?
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Yep, that's the answer.
Was all the things that could go wrong did go wrong, and and when things go wrong, they always happen at 1 a.m. in the morning.
Yep.
It's in bad weather.
And you couldn't have been further from land if you tried.
Yeah, exactly. We were a long way away. And I mean, I guess all the things leading up to that were key factors for me were crew ability. We didn't have enough drivers when we left Auckland. So we ended up having Rodney Dern and myself. When it got nasty, we just stared 4 hours on.
Yeah.
And then
nuts.
a week, all of a sudden we found a week had rolled by, 4 hours on, 4 hours off. And one of us had basically, it was me, had just done enough and just couldn't do it anymore. So we crashed. Yeah. Hard.
Oh, wow.
You know, it was circumstances that weren't easy either, but I'm sure you guys knowing that trying to steer 4 hours on, 4 hours, 4 hours on, 4 hours off for a week, you're not going to be doing a good job. So,
on a Volvo 60 full noise downwind. Exactly.
Impossible.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine it. Okay, so here we go. Tony, do you mind?
I mean, it was blowing. I can still remember the night very clear.
Yep.
We just come up on watch, and I think we were on from midnight till 4.
Yep.
I think it was about that, or it might have been 2 to 6. I can't remember. It was the worst time, and the boys have been sort of sailing along in high 20s most of the night. No full main, A7 storm jib rolled up on the forestay staysail, and that had a few clouds rolling by. We just jibed over at 10, I think it was, and we heading south again on starboard, and all the clouds that came by, I think it went up to about 33 or something, and get up on deck, all good, start going. One cloud comes through, 33, all good. The next cloud comes through, it's looking a little bit darker. I was like, what do you reckon, you guys? And the next minute it's snowing and it's 46. And a bit of a shift too.
46,
so like,
for our listeners, that's 46 knots, not 46 degrees.
No, 46 knots, And it was like, we had the A7 on, staysail up, main, and didn't know at that time. It was like, how long is it going to last? And it was like, and then anyway, get to another big break. We'd had a bit of a shift, so we had a bit of a wave. We had the usual west to east running swell, big one, like a proper Southern Ocean swell. And then on top of that, we had there was a bit of a low pressure. I think it had been running around down south, and we ended up with this other swell on the top heading in a northeast direction. And we sort of arrived at the wave at the same time as this wave was coming on top of a wave, and it was just breaking water for, it was like 60 metres away, and a wall of it, and it just hit the bow and spun us out. Yeah, it was
fun.
Gives me shivers just even hearing that, Tone. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
And what was so after the aftermath, it was a Chinese, right? And then twisted the rig out the boat. Is that right?
Yeah, so the wave hit the bow and spun us big leeward spin. I managed to get full lock on the rudder. I know that because the chain went through the side of the steering quadrant because I put the lock on.
As we did introduce you as the hard man, one of the last of the hard mans.
At that point, and then realised it wasn't going to come back. And it was, from what I remember, the first spreader on the windward side hit the water, and we were doing high 20s, and it just ripped the rig straight out, which was kind of good because at the time we had the first boat of the sort of that sort of in Volvo, I think, running the twin hatches. Where you have the central pit, which was quite a good layout for normal sailing. And so we always had we had the washboards in the leeward, in the hatch, but didn't have them in the weather hatch, even though we're going that quick. It must have been dry, those boats. I don't know. I can't remember. But it wasn't dry when we lay on our side for a moment because there was solid green room of water going down below. And we must have lay there for a moment before the rig came out because when it popped up right, it was knee deep in the main saloon. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So obviously it's all hands on deck and it's mayhem. What's going through everyone's mind and how was it handled?
Well, I think the big one was obviously, when the rigs come down, normally everything goes quiet.
Yeah.
And it sort of went quiet for a bit, but then we're in the seaway, side 2, still on starboard, if you like, with the rig on the starboard side.
Oh.
And I think the rig had broken off about where the radar was, his neck, and then it's all hanging on the halyards out of the broken stump.
Yep.
Because it was a keel step rig, so it's quite supported through the deck collar up to above the gooseneck, thereabouts. And it's just soaring backwards and forwards as the boat rocking backwards off this piece of stump. It was only just hanging over the edge of the gunnel and soaring backwards and forwards. So we realised we don't want that to drop down and punch a hole through the side. So we decided to cut the rig away, and there was no chance of saving deck or anything like that. The weather, it was just, it was still pretty wild down there, still snowing. It's amazing how quick a hacksaw will work on rod rigging. I can tell you that, because I reckon it took me less than about 25 seconds to off. I think it was the last day I cut. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that adrenaline works pretty well too, I think, mate.
And I mean, let's not take up all the time just on this particular incident because there's been a few more. But but the journey back to Rio, that was a big one. I remember that vividly. You had a few days at sea before you could even, and then you went on the ship, right, to get it up to Rio?
Yeah. Well, we ended up, we sailed it, obviously downwind and made a jury. That's all well documented. We went into the Straits of Magellan, went to a place called Punta Arenas. Ship was there, loaded it aboard the ship and sand it. That was the deal. We had pretty cool jury rig. Top speed of the jury rig was 17.5.
Jeez.
I think we averaged about, it might have been 18 or 1900 miles. I'm not sure. It might have been less. I can't remember.
It's
but
still a massive
it was,
trip, isn't it?
A long, by any measure, long trip.
Well,
But the Straits of Magellan were cool. That was a very interesting place, I have to say.
Now, I hate to kind of it's not really changing the subject, but I've just got up on my computer here, SEB broken rig. I've got a photo of SEB.
Yeah.
I've got a photo of Puma. And I've got a photo of us in the Hobart on ABN. There's been a few.
Right.
Yeah. We're waiting for a response here.
I wasn't on the Sydney Hobart on ABN.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's right. But I can clearly see you on Puma.
Yeah.
Cool.
let's give him some good ones.
Puma
boys.
one is probably one of the most gutting ones, I reckon. That's
I can imagine.
Boat.
Yeah. Oh, no, we're going to get to the wins shortly.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. We're building the story.
Let's just put the boot in while we can, right? Yep.
So next, ABN AMRO 2, pretty much a star-studded team led by Moose. First question I've got, when you heard Juan K is designing your boat that you're going around the world on, how's that go down? Having sailed on far boats previously to that?
I think, if I recall correctly, we were sceptical, absolutely sceptical. So which is surprising, really, after having the experience with the SEB. There was a lot of other stuff that went on in the background of the SEB that made us a little bit. But we won't go into that. But yeah, we were sceptical for sure. It was a new rule. There was quite, at that time, if you guys recall, there was quite a difference in beam. I think you're allowed to build those things anywhere between 4.5 metres or 4.7 metres beam and
5.7.
if I remember correctly. And that was the interesting part. And I think I was involved with a potential team before ABN, and they actually looked at making a half model. They're going to make a 35-footer.
Yeah.
Half model. I can vaguely remember. I can't even remember who it was with, but we were going to do it. We're actually looking at making something really quickly out of cedar in Auckland for a while. But yeah, no, one was cool. Actually, once we met one, things became a lot easier. Of course, at that time, he was already involved with Oracle.
Yep.
And I saw I actually, you know, how these things evolve and there's no secrets in yachting. I actually got sent a drawing very early on, actually even before Moose was involved, and someone saying to me, "Oh, what do you?" And it had some, and which was actually turned out to be exact ABN2.
Yep.
And that was pretty cool. It was cool to look at. It was completely different, you know, and you could actually clearly see on the drawing there was a chine, which was, I have to say, it looked like a 14-footer, 10 years earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It just looked like a giant 14-footer, International 14. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you remember this day too. Like, we spent a lot of that time ABN1 v ABN2, and did a lot of two-boat testing and what have you. Actually, which is one story. I remember, I think, Tone, you were in the little in the middle of the Bay of Biscay in a little rubber dinghy swapping boats when the whale jumped out in between us and you and your little boat.
Yeah.
Quite interesting in the middle of the Bay of Biscay.
What do we call that little boat?
The Bismarck.
We had a name for that little. We called it the. We named it after the supermarket that sold it to us for €8. I remember that. It was called a Supermercado 8-footer. I don't know.
Supermercado, I love it.
It was two. It was two. It cost €8. I remember that because I remember buying it. Yeah, and we actually bought it for a laugh, and then I had it blowing up in the pool at home, and we're back in the apartments we're staying at, and we thought, oh Jesus, between boats, so we took it with us, and sure enough, it worked. We used it a couple of times. Yeah, it cost. I remember it, €8. Yeah,
beauty.
Big budget.
So where I was getting at, Tone, is all that training or two boating essentially, and understanding like a 8-minute test, black boat wins out of range at least 1 mile ahead. And we never got to line up against anyone until we lined up against the Pirates one day out of San Cienzo on about 35 knots upwind, and both the black boat and the white boat were 2 knots quicker than the Pirates up. Like, these big wide boats, twin rudders, big chines, very powerful, and it's like, holy shit.
It was almost the start of it, wasn't it, really, when you think about it, where it's headed?
That was pretty exciting after that.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and we at that because I guess we were all always unsure. But, you know, like we had the big boats, but we also had the way we sailed the big boats, where we had gone from put hanks on the headsails. Yep. We had the sole on headsail on the furler. All fluffing around with 3 or 4 headsails up a forestay with, head foil and twin halyards, and, you know, on those boats you couldn't do an inline change if you tried, if you're doing over 10 knots, because you're underwater. But, you know, so I think we're a long way ahead, not only on the boat, but ever since then, every other boat ever in the Volvo has been copying those two boats with the sail. Basically, the sails are still the same. Like even on the 65s right now, it's very, very similar. Solent, staysails, everything on the furler, hanked on head stays. But the big boats, yeah, they were. It was a nice relief to see that day. I still remember that day where we went upwind and we were a little bit quicker than the Pirates, and then I do remember. Oh, actually, maybe another day we were a little bit quicker than the Pirates, and then we cracked off and did a little reach, and that was next minute we were 3 knots quicker. It was frightening for them.
So, what was it like to have the win, mate? Like, you've made this move, and then your third go around the ocean, around the planet, and you're king of the castle, mate.
Well, I mean, it was good. It was good, and it was obviously enjoyed the win, but we got a bit of flack for it. There was a lot of sailors who were sort of saying to us, "Oh shit, you guys didn't win. It was all to do with your boat." Any monkeys could sail that boat. And so it was like, that was a bit weird because these monkeys made that
boat, yeah.
And we made it how we wanted it, and we made it and we sailed it how we wanted it. And a lot of the gear, it was all from the innovative people involved in those teams,
Yeah.
And that was a little bit weird for me in the end, I have to say. And that's where when we rolled into Ericsson, it was kind of like just trying to prove a point.
Yep.
I guess.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
you'd have to say you did that.
Yeah. Yep. We sure did. Ericsson was kind of I have to say, Ericsson for me was kind of like a team moulded around. It was like merging SEB and ABN together. It was a team with, it was so big that it could have potentially gone quite badly if the boats didn't perform. But, I think we managed to smooth it out, and we possibly E4 possibly wasn't as quick as it should have been. But I have to say that on the technical side, with all the rigs and sails and all that, we were streets ahead. It was, and plus with all the sailing we did out of down in the Canary Islands, it just made it like we'd go out sailing at 35 knots. It didn't matter. It was just like a normal day sailing for us. So that's why you see at the start, it was just we're off. Like it was just like a normal day for us in the Canary Islands, whereas other teams were really, really struggling to get around the first couple of marks there in Alicante. But Ericsson was good, and it was good to get the win. It was good to be get it done early, on the race by the time we'd reached Ireland. That was nice. It meant we could enjoy it a little bit more. We actually felt a lot more pressure on Ericsson, I have to say. The expectation was there, and potential for getting it wrong was also there. With expectation, you could possibly find yourself sailing too hard at times. But I think, in the end, we had a pretty good team, and the only time we really went really stupid was going out of Ireland that one sunny afternoon that was meant to be pleasant, and it turned out to be full on.
The lee shore. Yeah, exactly. Oh, shit. And there was the fastest trip down to Fastnet Rock that you'd...
Oh, yeah. It was unbelievable. Like, I remember saying that, it was, because it's all happening in daylight for the first time ever, where you're just pushing it like crazy. And, if we come to the jibe, and I think we're driving from starboard to port rock, and with big chute, it's blowing plenty, no reef, not even thinking about a reef. We actually talked about a reef and said we should and change down to a fractional because we would have been quicker, but the change kills you in time, So it's like, nah, we'll just ride up. We're going to ride it out. And we come to the jibe, messed it up completely. Keel didn't go across, come out on our side. The new sheet goes on, and it's flapping around, and the sheet loops over the leeward wheel and sends it to the moon. Yeah, it's gone. Never seen anything like it. And then we ripped the whole cockpit floor from the back transom on the starboard side, from the transom
from the
all
side
the way to
deck,
the starboard,
right?
where the cockpit floor touches from the
Correct.
side deck. She came undone.
Wow.
The taping came undone, and there was water and all this. It was like, God, this normally happens much further offshore than this. We can still see land.
Can I just nominate? We put Mutter in as one of our test rig guys.
He's gone under the radar.
Yeah, he's gone under the radar. He's a bit of a test rig.
Hey, so Ericsson 4 had the Spinnaker sheet towers, didn't it? From memory, I'm trying to remember. That was the big win, wasn't it, for that thing?
Yeah, we had Spinnaker sheet towers. That was trying to way of getting an LP on a sail bigger on a short boat.
Well, it worked
with sort of getting the return and the angle, adding drag to it. Yeah.
How was the dynamic on the old Ericsson 4? Because I remember you got thrown off the boat at one stage in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. That's a funny. The dynamics were great. I mean, the crew were. I mean, obviously, on all crews, there's issues and all that sort of thing, but that wasn't a factor in me getting off the boat.
No, I know. No, just you tell the story.
Couldn't stand up.
Yeah, you poor bugger.
Yeah, I had a massive infection. That
sorry, Tony, we lost you there. What was it? A massive what? A massive what, correct?
Yeah, massive bang on the knee, mate. Yeah. No good?
Infection, erection. Yeah, sorry, I got a bit mixed up there.
Exactly.
Carry on.
That must have been.
It was red and it was all red and swollen. Is that right?
Oh, now I understand what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop there. Righto.
Anyway, they had to drop me off. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Guys went on and won the leg anyway. So
did you actually have a bit of surgery on the knee? Like, did you have to do a bit of cutting in at that stage, or it all happened on shore?
Oh no! Well, they tried it on the boat. We had a full Jamison.
Yeah, blood. And you were the other medic, right?
Yeah, he'd been on the radio to the doctor, and the doctor suggested, you know what? I think you need to stick a needle in that. So Blood had found his biggest needle and had a go, and it was I sat there and he had a go, and nothing happened. We couldn't get in.
Wow.
But it went downhill from there. It probably added to the infection anyway. But as it turned out, it was too soon to try.
So how's this? You've got a bloke on the boat who's the medic called Blood. He's getting advised by a doctor on land called Dr. Spike to put an injection, put a needle into Big Tone's knee.
Yeah. And then you just got to trust it, knowing that the last thing he stuck a needle in was actually a dead pig.
Yeah. That's right. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. So we've just gone like...
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, what could go wrong? So we've gone through all this. Like the test rig thing, Tony, is we reckon that's the nickname because in Persico they put things on the test rig to break till they break. You know, that's how they check the foils and stuff. And you know, so we've been calling the people that are known for breaking boats test rig.
Rob Greenhouse.
We got Rob Greenhouse in there. We think you might be qualifying now because Bicey just threw the SEB thing there.
Bubsy's in there.
Bubsy, the Puma thing. But we also forgot Vestas 11th hour, Bice.
Oh, well, we're working up to that.
Yeah. I was hoping you would forget that one.
Are we allowed? Well, if you don't want to talk about it, mate, you just...
No, it's all good. No, it's all good.
Before we get to that, was the win the second time better then, given what you said the first time?
Yeah, it really was. We, at that time, absolutely, it was way better, and it was kind of cool to just it was kind of like proving a point, and I think we were ahead on so many different things. The only thing we possibly struggled on a little bit was that was all factored on the fact that we're probably fighting silly fights about keels and how. I don't know if anyone remembers back then, but we had the
bow,
hollow or not hollow.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah, and all that kind of going on and on and on, and how all that stuff. We had a verbal description of what was the definition of hollow. I remember this from the measurers, and their idea of between hollow and not hollow was if you dip your keel fin in paint, sits on all surfaces inside any cavity, then it is hollow. And if not, I don't know. It went on like that. Anyway, that's another whole story. But it ended up they reneged on their original definition, and we met every safety requirement that they had, the 3G grounding, and it was actually, to be fair, it was kind of good that we didn't race with a keel that we had sitting there brand new, ready to go on that boat, because it was like the bulb was like 400 kilos heavier than the one we were using. And the fin obviously was 400 kilos lighter, but with the same grounding number of I can't remember what it was, but it was exactly the same. Wow. So it would have been, if you can imagine that, it means that your hull, the whole hull was designed around that, so it was a bit small on the riding moment, but skinnier on the transom because it was using the keel more than the hull form stability. So in the end, I think when the other guys started working out how to sail their boats, in the end they actually got a lot. There was sail where E4 was a little bit slower, especially really tight reaching than like the Telefonica boats.
The Telefonica was always powerful reaching. I mean, we remember that. I was with the Blue, and we always found that line nice. But we found, obviously, with you guys, you just had the ability to sail better upwind and downwind.
Yeah, I don't know if we were a better upwind, but we were certainly, when it got fast, broad reaching and downwind, we were very quick because we were bow up, and that was
the only problem with your boats, BP. The keel was about a metre too far forward.
Why was it my boat?
Well, you were explaining it like it was.
Yeah.
Well, I just did the ropes.
Yeah. Come on.
Cool. Right. Okay. So out the back of Ericsson, then where do we go? Puma. Kenny.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What about that? That would have been fun sailing with Kenny, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, Kenny's a great guy. He's really interesting. He's really good. Getting great programs and putting the right people together and that sort of thing. So he was, I guess that's why he's the president of North Sales right now, is because he's good at that kind of role. And he did a really good job, and he gave us plenty of everything we needed to, or nearly everything. We're probably a little bit down, but I think it was kind of, when I got involved in that, my offside of Brad Jackson and myself, we sort of took it as a bit of a challenge to try and do the winning boat on a smaller budget. It was going to be going from two boat teams down to a one boat, and we thought we could do it, and we actually came close. I think if you look at the results, and if you take out the first leg, we actually won that race quite convincingly without really winning legs. It was the boat was cool. There were parts of it. It was the best. There, I think it didn't break, but we respected it in a few times when other boats were breaking around us. Like that leg from Auckland down to Cape Horn in that race was brutal on boats. We had massive with the massive southeast and northeast swell on top of it. So it created like unbelievable. There was one week there where we we just had heinous seas and just incredible conditions. Like I actually had that thing completely out of the water at the beginning of the boat started breaking, and I landed it and it was bad. And then Brad did the same thing. And then we pulled the pin and we said, nah, we're going to slow down. 19 knots from here to the horn, that's it.
Right. Wow.
And as it turned out, the Group Armour guys had exactly the same experience. I think they were, 20 miles or 30 miles or something ahead of us. And we just both pulled the pin at exactly the same time. We just had Telefonica went below us. We're just going crazy. And it was just like, forget about it. They're going to break. And sure enough, and the next skid came around and they broken. Camper. Camper was the one that went really crazy. Yep. And it's like there's no way you can do that. You're gonna break. Like I seriously had that thing out of the water. I don't even think the rudder was in the water when we popped off one, and we were doing nearly 40. And it was just
far out.
Oh, they were great boats when they.
In those situations, you just got to back it up.
I mean, and that boat particularly was exceptionally well refined. I mean, everything from, especially from a operational point of view, like you say, the structure of the boat, the engineering of the boat, the sail program, the rig program. It was like really getting to the top end of the triangle.
Yeah. We had like really looked at the rigs. We're going back from the jump to the non-jumper rigs on that one, and we changed to a different mast manufacturers and went to Hall spars because of the way they made the tube at that time, which instead of being made in a front half and a rear half joined together, and being fasteners and then putting tapes up and down the sides. We went to it's made around a mandrel in one piece, and then slid off, and then you have external patching on it. And that at the time our master designer was like, hey, if you want to get it down to weight and this is the only way to make it, you have to go far, guys. So we did that, and everything on it, I have to say, was really great, except for at some point someone in the factory picked up the wrong piece of bar stock, for one of the terminal ends on a D2, and made it out of the wrong material.
Oh, really?
Being nitronic something or other. It was just plain stainless, I believe. And of course, the rest is history.
Devastating.
Yeah. Heartbreaking.
Devastating.
That was the day Karen from accounting was working on the factory floor.
Got her out. Karen.
Yeah.
Actually,
I remember
that boat, that boat's gone on to become I Love Poland and just won the line honours at the Middle Sea Race.
You love what?
That
you love what?
boat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's I Love Poland now. It just won the line honours for the Middle Sea Race for the monohulls.
As compared to Team Poland, of course, which is not.
Which is the 65. Poland. Yeah, that's it, Sailing Poland. I sailed with
those guys. I sailed with the Team Poland. Was it Sailing Poland? Magic. Sailed with those guys in Fastnet last year.
On the 70 or the 65?
65.
Oh, okay. They're the ones that crashed. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that video.
So did everyone.
The day. That was...
oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of crashes,
happens, I guess.
Do we want to talk about that crash, or should we just skip past that because it's too dangerous? Because we're good mates with everyone on the boat.
Which crash? The Vestas crash?
Yeah.
Up to you, Tony. Otherwise, I've got a very, very good question for you.
Yeah, go with your question, Boss.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
One question from Boss. Yeah. You've sailed with some of the greats, not to mention all the skippers, Gura, Moose, Torben, Kenny, Charlie, in the most recent Volvo Ocean race. Who's the best, mate?
Oh, not fair.
No, you don't have to answer that as in who is the best, but they would all have some quite redeeming features. Just do a quick little run through.
I think Kenny and Moose would be the best communicators. I'd say that.
Yeah.
Kenny is probably the best seat of the pants sailor with Torben. Torben, although I got on very well with Torben and him, they're very good, I think. There was some communication issues elsewhere within the boat, but Torben did a great job too, and he's a great guy. Guru Krantz is an amazing communicator. I don't know. Best sailor. Charlie's cool. Charlie's energy is incredible. It's actually infectious, that guy. He's so pumped and amped and positive and that sort of thing. I think that's why he is doing the role he does, is because those are his strengths. He can motivate people around him too, and he listens too. That's the one thing I found with Charlie, is he can listen. So they all those guys are all very similar in a lot of ways, motivated characters, and that's why we're here talking about this, and they're all there skippering boats around the world.
Yeah, right. Actually, so just the next one. Being a Kiwi, and as Aussies, we know we're not really into the high five. How do you deal with the high five and the Seppos on Vestas? Do you refrain, or you let the odd high five out?
Yeah, I don't know. I know I did one, and they somehow got caught on camera on the end of the last race of Puma. I think maybe.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Kenny.
Yeah, cost me a lot of beers that night. I remember No, actually, to be fair, myself and Brad, we did start doing some high fives a few years back. And I think it was about the Puma time when we started sailing on J boats and that sort of thing. And on Comanche, of course, there was quite a few.
Oh, there would have been some high fives on Comanche.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Actually, I want to touch on Comanche.
That's okay.
Let's roll into it, Comanche, because she's a glamour boat. We all love her. She's just this powered up machine that just goes charging across oceans. Is it like that to sail? She's like a big 70. Is that the truth of it, or?
Yeah, it's like a cross between a 70 and a 60.
Okay.
It's what was cool about that boat was there was no rule as such. So when we were able to construct it and put the structure in it for sails, there was no, we're able to put all the bulkheads in the right place and that sort of thing. Whereas in 70, you're always compromised. You want your sail tack somewhere else, but you got to put it there because that's where the bulkhead is. And with, and you got to put your traveller there because that's where the rule is, and that's, and that with Comanche, it was, okay, open slather, off you go. What do you think? So it was cool, right from the very first meeting we had with Comanche, where we were going through the basic parameters and we're talking with the designers, BPLP group, and I think we were in France, and it was, okay, so 100 foot long, 30.48 metres. The French guys just pulled out a calculator and goes, yep, so that draws 8.5 metres. And we're like, we can't do that because we're going to be anchored about a mile offshore of anywhere we're ever going to sail, It was like, okay, so what's the draft going to be? And what's the draft going to be? And they'd worked out, Kenny and the guys had worked out that in, I think at 6.8 is what they could get with a keel canted, in Newport, Rhode Island. So that was the thing. And then the guys just put it back in the calculator and goes, okay, 85 feet, maybe 86. That's how big your boat's going to be. I was like, no. Wow. So it was a really, in the first day, I think it was one of the most pains I think I've ever been involved in, go through that discussion when you're using parameters on boats and percentages. Brett, you're probably well up on this sort of thing, and you end up, you think, okay, so this is the draft, so that's what the boat length should be. But when it's like, okay, so is the 100-foot boat with a 6.8 metre draft going to beat the 85-foot boat with the 6.8 metre draft? And the answer is always, well, in non-flying terms, which is new now, the 100-foot boat's going to win, So that way of Comanche. And then, of course, we went trying to pick a beam, and there was some extreme. I can tell you that thing that, we're only middle of the road. Comanche was middle of the road. It wasn't the fattest one that was tabled, and skinniest one, but there was some big numbers on it.
Rightio, which leads.
It's a really cool.
It actually leads me to my second question. Big question, Tone. Far, Juan K, Guillaume Verdier, who's the best?
Jesus.
No, just kidding, mate.
Best at what?
Yeah, good response. Love it.
I'm seriously, I'm good mates with two of the three.
Yeah. And we're all good mates with them all. And all we need actually is, and he's committed to it, is Juan K coming on the show.
Guillaume and Juan. I have huge respect for Guillaume and Juan. They're two guys who aren't afraid to stick it out there and have a go.
Yeah.
Here.
Good story.
And I think for me, that's you have to be that way, because you just can't be a follower. You have to be a leader.
Yeah. Well, let's
be a trendsetter in a sport.
Let's roll into something that's going to start in 2 weeks. We've got the Vendée about to start. Being a guy that's been around the world a heap of times, done 1 million miles across oceans, what's your thoughts on the whole IMOCA class? Like this Vendée, are you we're kind of into it? Obviously, you probably know that. What's your thoughts looking at the race? Would you like to do that yourself, or is it just too much?
To me, it's the most amazing ocean racing out there right now. The boats are so. I think they're all striving to down the new path of the rule with the foils. They're all doing slightly different things with the foils, especially. And a lot of it's centered around riding moments, and so some of the older boats have different, maybe less aggressive foils, because they're not going to structurally not up to it compared to some of the newer boats. Yep. So it's really interesting, and my guess is obviously Chirel is the boat, the form boat at this point in time. I actually think it's one of the hardest ones to sail, being so small. Yeah. But I think they're they've done so much time in it. Actually, it'll always sort of come through at this point in time. But hey, look, that race, any boat can break, and it's how hard they push it and that sort of thing. But those boats are so quick, so quick.
Would you do it?
I tell you what, there was a time when I would have been really keen to do it, and I probably would be really keen to do it, but it's just time away from family now. It would be such a major, it's yeah. But actually, to be fair, I possibly would. I would like to, but just
need the budget.
Anyone has a say in this.
Yeah. We're sort of coming to a close of our time. I do have one pretty serious question. You boys got anything else you want to roll on while we're still going there?
Oh, in all honesty, it's
another one of those ones that could go on for another 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, I reckon we're going to do a comeback with Tony, because he's got so much interesting stuff. There's shed loads I want to touch on, but there's one thing I really want to get to, given Tony's experience and knowledge. You're based in Auckland, mate, so you're right there with all the America's Cup boats rocking up, all the America's Cup boats coming out of the shed. You know pretty much everyone there that's on the dock. So free access, you've probably been down there. What's the inside goss, mate? Is there anything you can tell us? Who's going to win?
Oh, well, I believe, all the boats that all the second boats are out.
Yeah.
They're all on the water, other than Team New Zealand at the moment. Have heard a rumour that the last Team New Zealand boat is quite radical. The second boat. I don't know how you can get more radical than those other ones floating out there, but it'll be yet to be seen. But I tell you, it's quite incredible. Like, if you actually get on the water and watch these things, I've actually been out there. They are so quick. They are quicker. They are quicker than the GP. They're quicker than the GP 52s. They're doing like 30 plus knots upwind and downwind. I guess you're always limited by the foils, so they're going to be that sub, teetering around the sub 50, unless someone somehow manages to work out how to
change their shape.
Yeah.
We've discussed this one. It's like
how do you
change the shape?
How do you manage to get out there, Tony?
Yeah.
Curly take you for a spin or you're on another chase boat?
No, I was out on my launch, so I get to have a quick look as they go, because I'm travelling at 9.6 knots.
There they fucking go again.
In every direction.
Wow.
My VMG upwind doesn't even work out for me.
Sure.
That's crazy, isn't it? It's just crazy. Yeah, because I think that's one thing. The foils are sort of limited in the amount of changes you can make, so they have to design an all-round foil on these boats.
Yeah, I think that they do have limits. What is interesting, actually, a lot of the foils are quite different. You'll see the American Patriot has, and this first generation boat has the torpedoes in the middle.
Yep.
In the middle of the foil. That's quite different to, say, Prada and Team New Zealand. They're all different. So I think that's incredible, really. I'm surprised that they're that different. I expected the hulls to look different. I didn't expect the foil pack so different. I have to say.
Surely that's the onset of the fact that they haven't been together. I mean, there's got to be there's got to be a right and a wrong there somewhere.
Yeah. But when you look at the hulls, they're all trying to do the same thing with that end plate. Try and pop out of the water quick with that sort of weird. It's almost like old-fashioned hull shape, And they clearly realised that the first American Magic boat was very sticky. It would, and that big flat surface would just stick right down, and then she wouldn't want to get out. That's 100%. So I don't take that as what the deal is. But I think they're just trying to get them out of the water, and when they do touch back down, so it's just a brief touchdown rather than a full touchdown.
Suck up.
I was going to say full suck down.
Full suck.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Because some of the touchdowns are it's going to be painful. But.
Yeah.
Especially when you're pushing for that, that I'd like to say one or two extra knots, but especially when you're pushing for that 5 or 6 extra knots. There's going to be some big ones.
Actually,
yeah.
Tony, what are you're what I consider a normal size bloke. What are you weighing at these days?
I am 102, I think.
Yeah, which excludes you from being on the America's Cup boats because of their weight limits. So normal sized human beings, don't get a shot.
Mate. Sorry.
Go on.
Are we
Sorry.
talking heads or?
Yeah, not my head size, but no, I'm just saying, the 6'3" blokes with 100 kilos of pure handsomeness to cart around the track, because it's they're 990 kilos over 11 crews. So someone as good as Tony it's probably not going to get the shot because of what's going on. But as a sailing fan, mate.
Plus I'm 30 odd years on the wrong side of the right age. I can tell you that. You need
to be running across the boats.
Yeah.
Pretty aggressive.
I tell you, the guys sailing these boats now. Sorry, you may have lost me there. The guys sailing these boats now are their aerobic capacities are so high. They're proper athletes. let's be real here.
No,
I think
let's not be
for
real.
me, being it, no, but me, like I ran a half marathon last year, and I think my VO2 on my watch said I was at a 50, whatever that means, just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they would be in the 80s, or who knows.
Well, 80's extreme, but
I don't know.
50's a pretty fit one. The very best athletes in the world are up into the 80s. Some of the elites, but it's pretty full bore. Actually, whilst we're sort of talking about the America's Cup, obviously a bit of news today around the close race course. Did you pick up on any of that, mate?
Yeah, today I was driving home from town, and I heard on the radio there was Bolton wasn't very happy, and then the spokesman for the Prada team had a counter argument, and they weren't very happy. And I don't know, a lot of posturing. The problem is, without going in and reading the rule, you'll never get the right story as to what's going on. Maybe that's a job for you guys.
We know. I'll tell you exactly what's going on. So
what's the who's right and who's wrong?
Well, what's happened is the two close courses that were right next to the headland there, so it was easy for everyone to watch, meant that we probably would have we wouldn't have sold all our tickets on the Barkarati barge, which is going to be in the middle of the course.
That was where I was heading.
No, I'm not going to say who's right or wrong, but we'll discuss it further. But I don't know. I'm not saying.
Well, the Barkarati barge. I mean, beer sales would have gone right down.
Oh,
if that,
we were going to have.
We were looking at one of those little like trolleys and just heading up on the headland there and just selling beers out of that.
Yeah, we were going to have all that covered off. Don't you worry.
That would be the way to do it.
Yeah. We were just going to have a few people roaming around on little bikes.
Born on the cob, sailor's lager. Here you go. Yeah.
On a pedicab.
Oh, you want a massage? Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Pedicab with a wireless.
Hey, Tone, would you be keen to come back on another time, mate? Because there's a lot we haven't.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll get a better internet connection as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've been cutting in and out.
Yeah.
So, keen. And we can talk about Sydney Hobart, mate.
Yeah, we didn't even get to that.
So
I want to talk about the Jays as well.
Info tracking.
So. Yeah. Cool. All right, mate. Well,
awesome.
we might leave there then. We'll plan for a second run. I reckon that might be the go. It would be great if we could do it face to face.
Oh,
yeah,
it would be great. Well, look, we got the SA bubble opened up.
I'll be in. I'm going to be in Sydney on December the 3rd, I think.
All right. Well, I'll be around. Let's catch up.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I think I might be coming to Sydney that weekend as well.
What are you going to be coming here for?
What? Nothing.
Nothing.
No,
Nothing.
No reason.
No reason.
A sailor's lager, right?
Oh.
That's it, mate. You'll get one. It'll be good.
Sailor's lager, absolutely.
Well, we're happy to know that the last ones are sold. I've got them in the back of my car for delivery. So
okay,
cool. We got more on the way. BP, it's happening.
Good.
All right,
Tone, that was awesome.
nice guy.
Cool, mate.
love your work,
Thanks
bud.
for that. Cheers.
Champion.
Thanks, Tones. Thanks for the last minute. Good on you, mate. Cheers.
No worries, boys. I'll see you later. Cheers, lads. See ya.
Yeah, ton of fun with our mate there, boys. Always good to chat to Tony Mutter. He's always been the nicest, kindest bloke out there. Just want to roll into that America's Cup thing. So the story is the two closest courses are dropped. The Kiwis are saying
Kiwis were vocal.
They're very dark
on socials, mate.
I think the issue with the Harbour Master, they were around Christmas. They weren't going to be able to use those courses, and that's why Luna Ross has said, "Oh, okay, well." They've got to be able to sail on all the courses beforehand. So that's where it came from. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel on it. Just while we're talking about that, I love Poland. So the Middle Sea race, I love Poland did win the Lion Honours on that one in a real close battle with the other Volvo 70 E1.
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
Only very close there. Maserati took the win in the multis, but yeah. It was cool. It was good. That boat's a good boat, the old Puma.
Oh, yeah, glamour boat. That was the one. So Ericsson actually brought Ericsson brought that for training initially.
Yeah.
And then I think SCA ended up, basically it ended up in a few different places, but a beautiful boat nonetheless. Yeah.
We've had a lot of interest on the old Polish thing, so obviously last week was a bit of fun. Our ratings in Poland dropped 55 places on the comedy shows. I don't think that had any correlation.
Why was that?
I don't know. Anyway, boys, before we sign off, last thing before we sign off, I've got an idea. I have not hit you with this one.
Uh-oh.
This is an idea that occurred to me today as I was doing a lot of driving. What about if Baccarati facilitate a coffee table book? You know how you know how you get all these photographs.
A bit of quiet reading when you're sitting in a doctor's waiting for your doctor appointment.
But you know how
I'm hearing you.
You get all these great sailing books with great photos, right? And you see them all over the place. And you see them in every bloody bookstore you go to. There's always one book that's a photo book. We've got a great fan base, right? So rather than, as long as they get the permission wherever the photo comes from the photographer.
Send it in.
The fans send the photo of their boat in.
Their boat, exactly.
The rule is, though, so we don't risk because we don't make any money, so we'll do it low cost. We'll do it at the right cost.
Sheets of paper.
But basically, if you want your boat in, you got a great photo of your boat and you want it in, you've got to buy one of the books. That's the commitment, is my idea. And so we do it
semi crowdfunding.
Semi-crowdfunding. We do a limited run, like, I don't know, just keep it super tight.
28,000 or so.
Yeah, 28,000. No, I was thinking a lot more limited.
Actually, 29,860 because I know exactly what you've been listening to.
But this, I must admit, I was listening to something and this created this whole idea. But we could actually do something where the fans could send in a photo of their boats and we could have a whole range of really cool photos. We'll put them into different orders so it makes sense. It could actually work. I mean, it's not something I want to rush down.
No, that is good.
I'm hearing it. I'm liking it. I'm liking it.
It is good.
I love the ideas that come out of that head of yours.
Yeah. Well, I'm not here for my looks.
That's clear.
That's clear. All right. So that was the idea with the whole bar karate thing. Like we could do a bar karate coffee table book.
We can do a reach out and send in your boat.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
A bit of a
with a little blurb, 100 words or less.
On your boat.
That's it.
Got to be 100 words or less because you lose interest.
That's it.
You lose interest. Maybe in 50 words or less.
I reckon it has
140 characters. We'll get Trump to send one in.
And then the only other, so I reckon that's something I want to pursue. I also came up with I want to extend the T-shirt ideas. I think we need, I got a new idea for a T-shirt, so we'll discuss that tomorrow. But I just thought I'd throw that one. So should we go with that one a little further?
I think so. We'll put that out on the website and get the feedback. And obviously,
we don't need the feedback. Let's just do it.
Yeah, but it's all about them. So
I'm going to put put it this way, I know there'll be 3 boats in there. next to the VB Express and the 505.
Good point.
That's a 3-page book. It's a 3-page book.
How many photos of Julian Newton's boat have we got on our message?
Or actually, I might put a rainbow. I'm going to change. Yeah.
God, what else can we do? Well, there's definitely going to be an I-14. There'll be a Sharpie in there.
Oh, definite Sharpie.
A couple of Sharpies.
This is even better than I thought.
Snowdy will over it. Snowdy will over that.
Yeah,
Hartley test.
SMB will feature.
Yeah. Look,
SMB.
Basically,
all the Volvo 65s would have to be in there.
It works from a fan level, like our fans get in. It's like a community coming together, and then it's a proper coffee table book, and it's cool, and it could be sold around the world.
So what we'll do, everyone. We'll think about the details. We'll announce the exact details like size of photo, etc. We'll set up a Dropbox. Everyone can put all their photos in there or something along those lines, right? And then with their little blurb, I like it. Good.
Yeah, I'm all
Put a run sheet next week for the planning.
# it's not a scam. It'll be.
Hashtag it's not a scam and date ready for Christmas.
No, it won't make it. There's no way. It'll take forever to make. This will take
next year.
Next year. Yeah. Okay. That's
Father's Day next year. Father's Day next year.
Father's Day coffee
That's
table
our aim.
book for 2021. Don't miss your opportunity to get your Father's Day present booked up.
Sounds like we've had a good session. Chatting to Tony Mutter, coming up with some ideas. Everything's fired up. It's probably time to sign off.
Thanks, Tone. One of the best.
Yachting.
Yep. All right,
Good on
boys.
ya.
Thanks for everything. Love your work.
Thanks, lads.
Enjoy.
Hehe.